I've had quite a few people reach out to me on what they are calling my comeback, by which they mean to say that my my career that was thought to be dead seems now to be back and on the up and up. In fact, somebody sent me something that was posted by Chude Gideonwo. I hope I got the pronunciation of his last name correct. I've never been able to ask Chude how to pronounce his last name. But Chude, and it was earlier in the year. I think in December, Chude had done a some sort of awards, informal awards, and they sent me where he had said that I was I forget what he called it. Maybe it was the comeback of the year or the inspiring comeback of the year or something. And he had mentioned how after our big Teju Babyface show, I had gone silent and then I was back now and better. And he had concluded that talent cannot be hidden, that if you have it, then you have it. And I mean, look, thank you, brother. Thanks a lot for that. So people have been congratulating me on. In fact, it was a friend just last night whom I was speaking with that now prompted me to want to do this. And I thought that I should just, do it right now without having to go through the stress of getting the team together, sitting down in front of a camera and having, look, let's just talk candidly, because I believe that this is a word in season, as the pastors like to say. I have a word. It's a word it's a word in season. So it was a friend last night who was yet congratulating me again. That, man, I'm so happy for you. That's what I hear. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you and all of that. And frankly, I am happy for myself for what seems to be the resurrection of my career. You know the part that really used to get to me during the down period, because let's be frank, there was a down period, and the down period, as you might imagine, was occasioned by the fact that I was out of Nigeria for a period of time. And the part that really hurt during the down period was that I I never saw this coming. This was never the intention. The intention was never to go away for this long. Yes, there was the intention to go away for a brief while. If I was It was on two fronts. I wanted to take my family out of the country. And if you've watched some of the lectures that I've given, or rather some of the videos that I have done, some of the educational videos that I've done or that I've done, I said that I had no qualms. I wanted to. I'd become very scared, for my family in Nigeria. I'd become paranoid. As some of you remember, my wife was attacked in traffic a couple of years ago. Just Google it. Teju Babyface's wife attacked in traffic. Google it, you'll see it. She was attacked in traffic a couple of years ago. This was before the twins were born. And the moment the twins were born, my paranoia just crystallized. And then before then, I had a friend whose wife was kidnapped. She was on her way back from work a couple of weeks after they had a baby, and she was kidnapped, and we didn't get her back for weeks. And we had to put together the ransom and all of that. That they were traumatized. So I just become very paranoid. So I was clear that I wanted my family to be out of the country, at least for a couple of years, maybe until the kids finished elementary school. Let them be out. So that was them. Me, however, I didn't want to be out. I wanted to take, I knew that I needed a break. So I wanted to take about 6 months off. In fact, I was prepared to take a year off. As far as I was concerned, my career could handle it. Our show was on TV, was on the biggest TV stations, on AIT, TVC, we're all over Nigeria. So, I was willing to even take a year. And proof of that is the fact that we left in July 2019. And I didn't pull the Teju Babyface show off the air until October 2020. Almost a year and a half later. And I was the one who pulled it off by myself because, I hadn't returned and they were repeating episodes over and over again, and I didn't want that, so I pulled the show off the air. So as you can see, from July 2019 to October 2020, that was a year and 5 months. So my calculation was that even if I was away for a year, I'd have returned by July 2020, and then we'll continue with the show. But that's not what happened. If you were live in 2020, then you know that COVID happened. So COVID locked me in place. And that's where I'm going with all of this. This career dip that I went through, that some people obviously celebrated, and I'm not one of those people that will come out and say, when I was down, I heard what you said, and they kicked me, and that's not the aim or the objective or the purpose of all of this. I'm just saying it's what it is. In fact, somebody even wrote for look, let me tell you the truth. For a long time, I was afraid. Okay, this is where the camera is. For a long time, I was afraid to Google myself, which is what everybody, you should Google yourself once in a while. Google yourself. It's not, there was a time when that was vanity, but it's not vanity. You are who Google says you are. If we Google you right now, whatever we meet on Google, that is who you are. It might not be true, but you are who Google says you are. So for a long time, I was afraid to Google myself, because the report that used to show up first was this malicious report that somebody had done in some publication. And they boiled all of that down to the fact that I was not making headway in my career. And so I left. Me, I wasn't making headway in my career. Even if I had challenges, which everybody does. I mean, I was still in the ring swinging and fighting. So how do you boil a career of over 20 years that started with Diamond Ring, and then to Amaka Igwe's Solitaire, and then into comedy to become one of the first few successful comedians in Nigeria, to becoming one of the highest paid MCs, to the Teju Babyface show, to how do you boil my career down to the fact that so you just boil the entire career down to Teju Babyface wasn't making headway, then he left for I don't know, maybe I suspect maybe a girl that person liked me when we were in school, or maybe I actually snatched that person's girlfriend or something, or maybe it was a girl whom I dated, and I don't know, there was beef in that piece. And because I was silent all those years, that was the headline that was always on Google whenever I Googled myself. Hi, that thing used to break my heart. And Omoluabi will tell you that bí ìyà ńlá bó bá ṣán ni mọ́lẹ̀, ìyà kéékèèké náà á máa gorí ẹni. It's some of these things are almost impossible to translate or transcribe or to explain. It just means that it is not the fault of the small person who now has an opportunity to insult you or speak anyhow to you since you're down. Because since something big, a big problem brought you down, now these small people too can now add their own insult. Another way of saying it, because I'm not sure I really explained that well, is to say that when something big happens to you, when a catastrophe befalls you, a big thing happens to you to bring you low, then all sorts of small things that normally wouldn't dare to look you in the face or come near to you, all these small insults, then they will also think they have an opportunity, even the small things, they will now be jumping in, throwing in their little punches. So it wasn't the fault of the person that wrote that story. After all, I'd been in Nigeria all of these years, they didn't write it. And now that I've been silent at that point for about 2 years, they saw the opportunity now. They jumped in. So it wasn't their fault. So some people were dancing on what they considered the grave of my career. But as I said, what pained me the most was that I didn't see it coming. I just intended to be away for 6 months to a year at most. I wanted to recalibrate and rejig. I was getting burned out and jaded. The Teju Babyface show was taking a lot out of me. But more importantly, I knew that what had brought us to that point could not take us beyond that point. If you ever speak to my director, Mr. Tadio Gido, ask him. I told him when we recorded the last episode of Teju Babyface Show. I told him, I said, we will never record this show again on this level like this. And he was surprised. What he asked me was, what's the problem? Everything seems to be going on fine. I mean, the show is getting bigger. We have sponsors and all of that. I'm like, I just know somewhere inside me that we shouldn't continue this way. I need to go and rethink. So I took time off. As I said, the intention was to take 6 months to 1 year, be in America with the family, watch the twins grow a bit, then be back after a year at most. But life said, it's going to take over 3 years. My point. And I've said all of this to lay foundation. As you know me, if you know me, but or you might not know me. So let me tell you, one of my core beliefs in life is don't explain anything. Never, look, never, and I think it's something in our culture now in Nigeria. They say you go explain tire. Before that, I'd always know, never explain yourself. It's a sign of weakness. All right? Sign of weakness. So this is not an explanation. This is to make sure that you can connect with me as I begin to give you what you might now consider counsel or advice. It's like this. It was Jesus that said that unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains as it is. But that if it dies, it brings forth much more. By which he meant to say that a grain of corn will always die anyway. If it falls to the ground and just remains on the ground, it will die. However, if it is planted with intent in the soil, it will die still, but it will bring forth much more than itself in many, many multiples, hundreds even, after a while. So the analogy is that however the case, a grain of corn is always going to die. However, if it is killed with intent and buried, if it is purposely killed, it will die, but after a while, it will return stronger, bigger, and better. My point is this. All careers are going to die. I said this once, I posted it on, I think, Facebook. This was a couple of years ago. And I think I was a bit untactical with the headline. I said, your career is going to die. And someone said, it's not my own career. My own career is not going to die. Well, I might have used a better headline, but the point is the same. All careers, especially those of us who have careers in the limelight or in front of the camera. And since we live in the world of social media now, where self-branding and branding are important, that might be all careers. At some point, all careers are going to die. Look, I made a video a couple of weeks ago that went somewhat viral, where I told you the several sayings that the Yoruba people used to qualify the fact that life doesn't remain the same forever. In fact, the point is that the only thing that doesn't change in life is the fact that life is guaranteed to change. Ìgbà ò lọ bí òréré, ayé ò rí bí ọ̀pá ìbọn, kò ń lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ títí. You are in the limelight now, things are working. At some point, careers die. This is the reason why that entertainer who used to be on top years ago is no longer on top again. And there was a time when I used to judge them in my ignorance. But now I know better. Here's the point. Since all careers are going to die anyway, the only way to circumvent and to beat the inevitable death of anybody's career is to purposely kill your career by yourself. That's the only way. It is to purposely, instead of allowing your career to fall to the ground and die by itself, there will come a season when life will start to prompt you that it is time to take a break, to step away, to go and rejig, recalibrate, recalculate this thing. If you make the move at that point and you purposely plant your career in the ground to allow it die, it will die for a while. They will dance on the metaphorical grave of your career, but you will be back. However, if you insist on keeping on, or if you insist on I think I got it right the first time. If you insist on still working it, even when you can feel the friction Eventually it is going to die anyway. And unfortunately, if life takes it from you and you don't give it up yourself, you most likely won't get it back. I used another analogy that Jesus said once, and some people did not get it. I said Jesus said that whoever loses his life, and then I put in bracket like this, for my sake, will gain it. And whoever holds on to it will lose it. And of course, as you might imagine, the I too knows of life, those who must comment before they think, jumped into the comment. That's not the context. The context that Jesus meant. I won't go into the theology now, but there are several ways you can draw context from a verse. There are 4 at least, and I won't bore you with the theology of all of it. But one of them is the one I used. Jesus was talking about the context in which he used it was different. He was talking about himself, his death, and all of that. But the girding principle is the same. Is that when it comes to the biggest things in life, if you hold on to it, you will lose it. But if you're willing to let it go, you're most likely going to get it back. So I say now to you, whether or not you're in the limelight, whether you're in the limelight or not, there is only one way to circumvent career death. It is that at some point, you must be willing to step away yourself. Look, with all humility, that is the only way that I still have a career. Somebody was, he sent me a message on TikTok. By the way, I joined TikTok essentially just last month. I had joined, I think, earlier in the year or maybe last year or something, and I posted maybe 4 or 5 videos, and then I stopped. And then just last month, just started to post on TikTok again. And in those 4 weeks or 5 weeks, we're now at over 100,000 followers, which is relatively big or small, depending on how you look at it. That's not the point. The point is that this was me I never thought I'd even get any traction on this thing in all those years. Right? I didn't think. So somebody sent me a message on TikTok and was talking about how, man, it must have taken a lot for you to go from actor to comedian, from comedian to talk show host to now you have a podcast that is doing so well. And I laughed. The truth is that I've always been gifted with the ability to be able to walk away. I walked away from being an actor. That's why I became a comedian. And in the space of silence between, they kept asking me, what's up with your acting career? And some people danced on the metaphorical grave of my career then too. And then I came out as a comedian. And I did that for so long. And then I kept quiet for a while too. And some people came out too and danced, they creeped walk on the metaphorical grave of my career. And then we came out with the Teju Babyface show. And boom! And we did that for 10 years. And then I walked away. And because we live in the era of social media now, they dance this time loudly. But we're back now again. I'm not saying this as if I have a handle on life. It's just a grace that I've somehow always enjoyed. Although when I was walking away this time, I must confess, if you had told me that it would take 3 years, I might not have gone. I thought it was going to be my usual 1 year-ish, but it is what it is. The point is, you know within yourself, this thing is going to resonate with some people. You know within yourself that you are struggling now. It might not be apparent to everybody, but for whatever reason, it has nothing to do with lack of patronage or lack of commission or lack of money. You just know inside you that something is got to change. It might be life giving you a sign. Take a break. Go away. Some of us cannot leave social media for 1 week. We might just die. But I did it. And again, I'm not trying to feel cool. It's just that I knew it had to be done. There's a reason why Jesus would go away. The Bible records that Jesus would go away in the middle of the night. There's a reason why he went into the wilderness for 40 days before the ministry really took off. You cannot be in the noise every time. The only way to have this long career that we are all looking for is to be able to walk away sometimes. Just take a walk. While you are away, will they talk about you? Of course. In the words of King Sunny Ade, mi ò sí nílé. In fact, don't let me use that one. The one I prefer is àwòdìrè bá láti lọ rè yẹ, wọ́n ṣe bí ẹyẹ ti kú. Gúnugún ikú léwe o, Àkàlàmàgbò wé ìpọ́dún jẹ ó rẹra díẹ̀ bínúbínú wọn ni mo kú gbàs. King Sunny had released that when he had been away for almost 2 years that time. He was ailing and all of that, and they said all sorts of things. And then he came back stronger, better, and he went on again, and he's still going on. You get my point? For those of you who've been thanking God for me and thanking life for me and congratulating me that we're back, thank you. it feels good to be seen again. But between you and I, when the time comes again for this stage to be done, I will walk away again and then let them. Ojoojúmọ́ náà ń sọ̀rọ̀ mi, jẹ́ kán máa nẹ̀nu ẹnu ẹ̀. Why is it that whenever I want to sing that song, I always forget? Kílódé, I know that song, but whenever I want to sing it for you, that I forget. But Fireboy, just people talk, let them talk. When it's time to walk, and you get it back. All right, I'm going to try not to edit this in any way. It's gone on for a while. I think we're going to join it somewhere at some point, but beyond that is what it is. This is me, Candid, sweating. Bless you.